Morning, 18 minutes past 7. It's 5 Live Breakfast. Jeff Lloyd and Rachel Burden with you this morning. Now, we're going to talk about wee now and pelvic floors and whether a bit of a leak is normal if you've had kids. And we're talking about this because of particular criticism for this advert for incontinence underwear.
And you being a mum would have a few surprises. Bigger boobs. Blessed. Nobody mentioned incontinence, though. But a little bit of wee's not going to stop me being me.
Now, that's Tenor advertising underwear for, I suppose, women who have mildish problems post-childbirth. But the problem the Royal College of Nursing has with it is that they don't want incontinence to be seen as normal, if you like, from the point of view as an insolvable problem. They say that this is something that can and should be treated either with non-invasive techniques or indeed with pelvic floor exercises, or if it's more serious than that, then you should seek further medical treatment for it. Tenor now say that it's a fact that lots of women experience incontinence after childbirth, and they already have treatment advice on their website. They are, though, going to add a line to this advert to tell women to seek help. Abby Lord is a trainer and a coach who works with people to improve their core and pelvic floor strength. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
And is it a lot of women post-childbirth that you deal with?
I deal with a lot of women post-childbirth and a lot of women further down the line, because on average it takes women 7 years to go to their doctor with incontinence post-baby.
And that is a long time to be dealing with an issue.
When you think about it, if it's 7 years on average, then some women go a lot longer. So I have some women that come to my classes who have waited 26 years before seeking help for stress and urge incontinence.
Now, you see, that's part of the point that the RCN is making here, that they want people to ask for help more quickly, not just buy a product.
Yeah, not just buy a product. So it's very common to leak after you have a baby, but it's not normal. So that's the message that the Royal College of Nursing wants to get across. And that's also the message that I'd like to get across.
When you say
rehabilitation is important.
I would say, when you say not normal, I would say for most women, particularly if you have an event that precipitates it, like a sneeze or a cough or jumping around on a trampoline, it's quite normal that your pelvic floors will be weaker after childbirth.
It's common. Normalizing it and saying that you can buy a product and then just get on with your life is actually quite dangerous, because what happens is that women then go back to exercise that they did pre-baby, thinking that this isn't going to be harmful to their bodies, thinking that, what's a little bit of wee going to get in the way of me going to a CrossFit class or going to a high-impact exercise class. The issue is that when they do that, perhaps with relaxin, the hormone still in their body, or with weakened muscle structures that they haven't rehabilitated properly, is that they will do greater damage. And this can lead to things like pelvic organ prolapse and also a greater gap in their diastasis. That's the kind of gap down the linea alba line that you get post-baby.
You're going to have to explain all that to me, sorry.
Okay, so a diastasis is you've got down the middle center of your stomach, you've got a line that's called your linea alba. And during pregnancy, as your bump grows, that linea alba stretches. And that's what sometimes people call a gap post-baby.
Yeah.
And for a while, it was seen as kind of chic in the news to have this gap. And there were lots of models with it. But what you need to do post-baby is you need to use abdominal exercises, safe ones, not sit-ups or crunches, but safe abdominal exercises to bring those muscles back together again, to create a stronger core.
Okay, what I'm thinking is you've just had a baby, you've been through the trauma of all of that, you're absolutely knackered. It's all you can do to get from one end of the day to the next. You're trying to feed the baby by whatever means the baby will be fed. And actually then having to think about strengthening your core in amongst all of that is just one step too far.
So no, but pelvic floor exercises, simple pelvic floor exercises like Kegels or breathing, so just learning how to breathe correctly to bring the muscles back together, are super, super simple to learn.
Okay, Kegels is something that actually Jeff mentioned earlier. So I'm going to get you to explain all of this, because, and while you do this, people at home can participate, right? Because this isn't just pertinent to women, is it? Because actually the men's pelvic floor performs exactly the same job and needs to be exercised in exactly the same way.
It does. A man's pelvic floor performs exactly the same job in helping to keep them from suffering incontinence. So when you do a pelvic floor exercise, the traditional ones that are the Kegel style exercises, then what it's like you're trying to hold in a fart. So as you exhale, so you inhale, and then as you exhale, it's as if you're trying to lift and hold in a fart, as if you're about to let one out, but you're not going to. And you're lifting it and holding it in.
And why is it important to do that in time with the breathing?
Because when you inhale, as you inhale, your diaphragm, which lies underneath your rib cage, stretches out. And this stretching out allows your pelvic floor to relax. And it's important for your pelvic floor to be able to relax.
Okay, that's a simple one then, that kind of inner squeeze where you're kind of pulling up. You can sense you're pulling up your pelvic floors, but it's like holding in a fart or stopping yourself peeing is a
or
way
stopping yourself peeing is another way, yeah.
Okay, so go on.
Or you can imagine that you've got a Malteser. Maltesers is quite good because they melt. And so what I tell my women is that you can imagine that you've got a Malteser and that you're trying to pick the Malteser up with your vagina.
Wow.
And you want to pick that Malteser up and then you want to drop it again before it melts. Now, this is important because a lot of women, when they do the traditional Kegel exercises, they can get the drawing up, but they don't get the release. And the release, being able to relax your pelvic floor, is equally as important as being able to tighten it.
Okay, now that's the basic one. What else should you be doing, just briefly?
So breathing is super important. A lot of people, post-baby especially, start breathing really high up in their chest. And when you breathe really high up in your chest, this creates stress in your system. So you're not getting enough oxygen into your body. And this creates a feeling of tension and stress, and you start to breathe up by your shoulders. So taking your breathing, this is what I teach predominantly, taking your breathing down to your rib cage is really, really important. So even if you put your hands on the side of your rib cage with your fingers to the front and your thumbs to the back, and when you inhale, you want to send the air down to the bottom of your rib cage. So your rib cage moves to the side and behind, but doesn't thrust to the front. That's super important because during pregnancy, women's bodies their rib cage tends to pop out towards the front to make space for the baby to grow. So it's about bringing the rib cage back down and learning to breathe deep into your lungs.
How much time, finally, how much time would you have to devote to these exercises a day to really notice a difference?
So 5 to 10 minutes a day is all that you need to start with. So initial rehabilitation for my clients, I have a program for them with the hypopressives that I teach, that you do 5 to 10 minutes a day, because otherwise anything else is untenable. They've got a baby to look after, breastfeeding to do, a house to run, and sometimes even going back to work. So my sister went back to work at 6 weeks. So quite often there are other stresses in the house or other children. So 5 to 10 minutes is usually pretty manageable for folk.
Okay, listen, I wish we had you for an hour and not just a few minutes. I feel like we could all benefit from it.
There's a lot more to learn, but people can by looking at stuff like Elaine Miller does from gusset grippers, or what I do with hypopressives. They can find out a lot more about how to rehab their bodies safely.
Okay, thank you very much. Brilliant to talk to you this morning. Abby Lord, trainer and coach who works with people to improve their core and pelvic floor strength. As I mentioned, this isn't just an issue that affects women, it affects men as well. So if it is something that's happened to you in your life and you want to talk about it, you don't have to give us your name if you feel. There should be no shame with this at all, because goodness me, I mean, there's no way I'm getting on a trampoline ever. Although I do regularly do pelvic floor exercises, so I think I've made some improvements. So you are in good company here, believe me. If this has been a problem for you, get in touch, 85058 or at BBC 5 Live, 7:27.
I think I finally found a form of exercise.